us now is the wonderful Dr. Samantha Hornery, the Education Manager of Learning Links, a not-for-profit organisation established in 1972 that provides education and support services for learning for children with learning difficulties. And today she's here to talk to us specifically about dyslexia. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, I'm sure this is a topic that lots of parents are really interested in. It's very relevant. But just to, start us off, what actually is dyslexia and how many children does it affect?
Dyslexia in its truest sense is difficulty with reading and spelling. So it's children who struggle over the words, who find them hard to sound out, and it can affect anywhere between 5 and 15% of children.
So I've always thought dyslexia was when the words look different on the page. Is that right?
No, it's one of the common misconceptions. Letters don't move on the page. They may for a really tiny group of children, but on the whole, it's about the sounds, what you hear and what you see on the page, and then how you actually sound those out reliably.
So it's more connecting the sounds, like an auditory thing, with what you can see. Is that it?
Definitely. Okay. Definitely.
So do speech issues with children and dyslexia often run together?
Very much so, and it's usually the first warning sign. So those children who are late to speak before they go to school, those children who start school still struggling to say some of their sounds. I often say to parents, it's like asking them to go and run a marathon with a broken leg. If they're still having trouble saying those sounds, they're really not going to be able to read those words clearly. And it doesn't mean that you're definitely going to have trouble reading, but it does mean that when you are struggling to read, it's often the case that your speech wasn't so fantastic.
Is it genetic? Is it something that people pass on to generations?
It's common in families that if somebody struggled to read, so say your father or your brother or your cousins are having trouble reading, it's likely that you are also going to find it difficult. It doesn't mean to say that you are going to have a problem reading, but we do find that it does sometimes happen in families.
So how treatable is it, and can it be cured?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I wish I could say cured, definitely. We definitely are not a fan of cure because it's not a disease. Yeah. But children who struggle to read need to be taught how to read. Reading is not natural. It's not like speaking. Our children learn to speak because they hear us and then they start to mimic us. But I could read a book to you forever and you still won't learn to read. It's not until I start to teach you all those sounds and put them together. And so that's what a good dyslexia program should look like.
Right. So if I'm worried and I send my child to school and I have some concerns, at what point do I go to the school and go, look, I'm just a little bit worried about my child's reading, and will the school fix it?
Okay, I have to say, the minute you're worried, go and check it out. You know your child better than anyone else. You are listening to your child and you are going to be your child's advocate for their whole life. And so if you are listening to them read at home and it doesn't sound like it's getting any better, you're listening to them read at home and it sounds a bit stunted, you have to really bribe them to read, it's okay to be worried and you should trust that. Always go to the school first. Hopefully the school have got a program in place that can start to help you as early as possible. But if they don't, that's the time to seek help.
And who do you go to get that tested?
If you are worried about their speech sounds and their speech wasn't fantastic, start off with a speech pathologist. Let them have a look at that first. But an educational psychologist can help do a good assessment for you because sometimes it's not just reading. Sometimes it's not just reading, it might be writing skills, it might be maths too, and you want someone to take a good look at it. But at the end of the day, it's a teacher. It's a teacher, someone with extra training in reading who's going to sit with your child and help you read at home with your child.
So what can I do at home?
You can read first.
Right.
You can read. Look, we all live on devices and we have all of this great technology, but at the end of the day, we have to be reading things and showing our children that reading is positive, that we
Turning pages.
Definitely, that we learn great things from reading. Look, there is nothing better than picking up a book to read. But reading, showing your child that reading is important is helpful. But then it is throwing everything at it. At home, it's about finding a time that works for your child. If they're great in the morning, grab them then. If they get bored while someone else is at swimming, take the book then. Don't be so hung up about it being a book. Magazines are fine. No, they're not Chaucer and Shakespeare, but they're fine. They're fine to get started. Read anything and read widely. Look, the NRL scores on a Sunday morning are fine to read as long as you're reading something.
I'll often be talking to parents who'll say, oh, you know, this Johnny's slower in this, or, you know, Susie's doing that and they're a bit behind. How often does something like this then go undiagnosed?
Often.
Often. Wow.
Often. Look, it will go undiagnosed because you're reluctant sometimes parents are reluctant to identify that there's a problem with their child.
But kids are also smart at memorising.
Kids
I know some children who can memorise, you know, when
A
you
lot
read
of
to them.
reading is memory.
Yeah, but then they memorise and then you think, oh, they got it. But no, they didn't get it. They just memorised what you just read. So
I could
it can
listen
go
really well.
Yeah.
I could hear really well and I could remember the story and I could maybe get on and do some other things that make you think that I knew how to read that.
Children that have it probably feel great frustration and probably have a really low self-esteem and feel really bad about reading and don't want to read. How can we help them get over those sorts of emotions so that they want to learn to read?
I think by talking about it in the first instance. Look, there are a group of children who will think that reading is not important and the fact that they're not good at reading, they're able to compartmentalise it in their brain and go, that's okay, and that's fantastic. But for many children, reading is not the only thing they struggle with. They'll struggle with lots of things and they will start to feel that that's about their intelligence. They start using words like I'm dumb and I can't do that.
And then other kids, obviously, because
That's right.
schoolyards can be mean.
That's it. You go into the extra classroom away from everybody else, and so everyone knows that you're there. When children are young, we can use stickers and we can pull kids out and have fun. The older they get, the harder that is. So letting them talk about that and responding to tell them that life is good and that reading will be great is really important.
I guess normalising the issue is what it's all about, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for
seeking
joining us,
help.
Sam. It's been really, really awesome having you here.
You're welcome.
Now, if you'd like to watch any more of today's episode or you'd like to learn more about Learning Links, please visit our website, mumsatthetabletv.com, or visit learninglinks.org.au. We'd love to see you next time, and God bless. Bye.